Hi, everybody. How you doing? So I've enjoyed watching the slides show here, and I wanted to point something out to Tom Bradley, that he's not the first faculty advisor for a car project. There was one in the early 1920s in which the students were working with an old Model T Ford, and they called it, that might be it right there, they called it the Auto Go Better. So here we are, still whacking away on cars. So my wife and I came here in December of 1965. At that time, Bill Graves was a member of the faculty, and he was the faculty advisor for the ASME student group at the time. And CSU already then had a very active student section and very successful. Now, there's some important things to note about this. Any student section, to be successful, needs a number of support things, such as excellent student leadership. So before I go on, I'd like to have all the current student leaders and past student leaders who are in the room stand up. Who's here? Hey, there they are. Thank you very much. So these are the folks that make the student section operate. But it also needs enthusiastic members. So do we have people, not necessarily in the leadership, but who are members of the student section here? There they are. Thank you. And we need faculty advisors. Who's here that has been a faculty advisor for the student section? Yeah, look at them all. And these are the people that make it work, along with the students and the student leaders. And then finally, and possibly most importantly, the support of the department makes a huge difference. So who are the department heads who are here of mechanical engineering besides me? There they are. Thank you, guys. And it's all these people that make a successful student section. And we give hearty thanks to all of you for doing that. So ASME is an international organization, has over 100,000 members worldwide, and its purpose is to be the premier organization to promote the art, science, and practice of mechanical engineering in the world. You heard Alan talk about codes and standards, and those are for the design and public safety, and he talked about pressure vessels and so on, and they write standards. ASME writes standards for a lot of different things, not just pressure vessels. It provides a forum for technical exchange and advancement of the state-of-the-art of ME education and training in many ME topics. It oversees the content of mechanical engineering education through the accreditation process, which Alan referred to. And it also advises the government about technical issues. Officially, ASME is a 501c3, so we can't lobby, but we can advise. Student sections exist to introduce students to the ASME and what ASME does, and encourage students to become professional level members after their graduation. Student sections have local activities such as technical or other presentations in their member meetings, issues such as finding jobs, finding internships, activities such as that are helpful to the students. And then they also have the chance to participate in regional, district, national activities such as conferences, design competitions, technical presentations, and a number of things like that, all of which helps with education. So I began to be faculty advisor in 1966 or so, and I did it on and off through the years for close to 20 years. My early emphasis was to establish some traditions, and maybe some of the current students have heard of these, even now. I often spoke about attending the ASME meetings when I was teaching what is now called ME 324. And the students didn't particularly like me preaching about it a little too much, perhaps, but that's what we did. I'd say, well, be sure to be at the meeting tonight, and I'll have my grade book with me. What are the traditions? We always attend the ASME Regional Student Conference. It's called something different now, but we always attend and we bring a big delegation. We always have 2 technical papers to present by students at the conference, and we try to win first, second, or third place. We always win the maximum attendance award at the Regional Student Conference. We always win the person mile award. That's the number of people times the distance you traveled. We always have regular member meetings and operating board meetings. We always raise money from the coffee and donut stand. Are you still doing that? Oh yeah, they say yes, okay. And we always participate in Engineers Days. Back then, Engineers Days was sort of a voluntary activity, and the student chapters of the various technical societies engaged the students in involvement. Now in the ME department, the senior design students are required to participate in that. So it's a little different, but that's what we did back then. And let me mention the participation in the Woodsy. I've been asked, what is the Woodsy? People don't seem to know what the Woodsy is. It was a picnic that we all went on after Engineers Days, went up the Poudre Canyon, had a big picnic, and there might have been a sud or 2 up there, and we had tug-of-wars and things like that, and it was just fun. So I have fond memories of those activities. For example, from early in my career as a faculty advisor, the students recognized my wife Shirley, by the way. She's right over there. Please stand up. She's put up with me all these years, but anyway, she worked while I was going through school and finishing my PhD, and we got here. At that time, the student section had a tradition to present what they called a PHT award to wives who put their husbands through. So it meant put hubby through. So she got one of those awards. Now the Woodsy I was talking about was a picnic up Poudre Canyon. A fond memory I have about that, during the time I was department head, we were engaged in the tug-of-war, and we beat the civil engineers. They had a lot of really big guys, but we beat the civil engineers, and the best part of all was we dragged the department head through a mud puddle in the process of doing that. So the Regional Student Conference, I talked about that. I think it's called the Student Professional Development Conference now, and it's a little different than it was back then. We usually took several cars. We might have had as many as 30 students crammed into a few cars, and we shared motel rooms. That became quite an interesting experience. One time, when Tom Mancini was the chair, does anybody know Tom Mancini or know the name? There you go, there's somebody that does. We hired 2 buses. These are 50 or 60 passenger buses, big buses. And we took Colorado State and the University of Wyoming ASME student sections in 2 buses all the way to Las Cruces, New Mexico, without stopping. That was a pretty long trip, of course. My wife went along and we played bridge on the bus with the students, just had a great old time. We won the maximum attendance award and the person mile award. It was quite a zoo, however, but we had great fun. Another time, we were in 3 CSU vans, went to Utah State University. Anybody here from Utah State? Hey, I knew you were here. One of the vans started running slow. It would only go 25 miles an hour. Well, naturally, a bunch of mechanical engineers driving this van, we figured we could fix it. We started working on it. Couldn't fix it, had to take it to the dealership to get it fixed. The problem was the fuel pump had pooped out, and then we found out later the fuel pump's inside the gas tank, so we never would have been able to fix it anyway. And another thing I remember of that trip, one of the students was married, and he lost his wedding ring down the drain in the shower. Another time, 3 CSU cars, about 15 students, and we were going to the University of New Mexico that time in Albuquerque. It was a long and nighttime drive, and people were having trouble staying awake. But we had CB radios, and the students were talking back and forth to each other on the CB to try to stay awake. And they probably spent 2 hours debating the following question: why does Fred Flintstone's bowling ball always go in a straight line? How many know who Fred Flintstone is? Nobody? His bowling ball was a big uneven rock, you see, and nobody could figure it. All right, very important. So we had a student lounge in the basement of the A wing of the current engineering building. And the students always wanted to fix it up, make it nicer. So they brought in some couches, but these were disgusting old couches. They must have been in an animal house somewhere first. But that's what they did, and they wanted to paint the walls. So they went ahead and painted the walls. Naturally, the CSU officials were not happy with having people paint the walls when they weren't in control of what was going on. And they wanted a pop machine. So one of the students managed to get hold of an old Coke machine, and they had that Coke machine in there, and that operated pretty well. And after he graduated, I think his name was Wayne Morrissey, but I'm not really sure of the name, but they called it after that, and they put a sign on it, the Wayne Morrissey Memorial Coke Machine. And I was never too sure about what they actually had in there. You know, anything in a bottle would fit, so I wasn't sure for what they really did have in there. And then after CSU began allowing pop machines on the campus, there were some kind of a contract and all that stuff, and the contract excluded any other pop machines. So once again, we were in trouble with the officials, but we got through those times. So the parent ASME organization is reorganized in the last few years. And instead of having regions like we used to have, and those were just 3 or 4 states or 5 states in size, they're now much bigger. And so ASME has the Student Professional Development Conference, and the travel distances are quite a bit further some of the time and harder to participate. But from all I hear and talking with some of the officers of the student section here, that the student section continues to thrive and succeed, and congratulations to all of you on 100 years of excellence, and I think it's 100 years to the day, in fact, of strong traditions and success. And I urge you to keep up the good work. Thank you very much.